Here's Lenon Honor. Just, hey, this guy's a trip. He's going to make you laugh. He's funny. So, yeah, Lenon Honor, everyone.
Thank you. That's quite an introduction. He's a trip. No. The topic that we're going to be getting, and I'm going to be walking around. We're going to have a good time. The topic I'm going to be addressing today is media effects on relationships. And I have the family here looking at one of them nice TVs. I don't know what they call those. What's that?
I think it's switching.
Is it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, one of those nice TVs. I don't know what they call them. Anyone remember this show?
Yes.
What was it? Married with Children. We're going to talk a little bit about this a little bit later on, because when I was younger, I used to watch that show a lot, and it did have a serious impact. I may even be real personal and share something with y'all that I haven't shared with anyone but my wife. If I have the confidence to share it, then I will. But I just want to, I think it's an excellent example of how media can influence how we perceive others relationship-wise. Now, when I talk, nice hair too, by the way. Yeah. I like, when people have that beautiful hair, because it's not happening for me, okay? Part of what I'm going to be talking about is not just relationships like male-female relationships, but like relationships between family members, right? And Irene brought up the whole vaccination thing. I want to talk a little bit about that in terms of how sometimes when we make decisions, we can kind of get estranged from our family, but we know that it's the right decision to make. So there's going to be different topics. So family dynamics, male-female relationships, etc. Okay, let's get into this. So we got a whole lot to get through. I want to start, and I always do this because I want people to get to know me. My name is Lenon Honor. I'm a husband and a father in the first place. These are my 5 beautiful children. And this was back in February 20th, 2013. Okay, and let me just point real quick. See how my son over here got a little attitude? I love this picture, because when he gets like 40, I'm going to be like, yeah, look at this. She got this little attitude. That's Avi. This is my older daughter, Saida. And this is the baby, James. And this is Samaya. And this is my oldest son, Lenny. He just turned 14, okay? And I'm so proud of all of my babies, and I love my babies dearly. This is a little bit later on, a little bit older. We take a lot of pictures in the home. Again, we're talking relationships, okay? Not just male-female relationships, father, son, father, daughter, so forth and so on, right? This was about maybe a year and a half ago. We were living in Riverside County, and I like this one too, because if you look at my son right here, see how he's winking that eye? You see him? Okay. And this is my lovely wife too over here, Aida. She's a fine woman. One thing I'm going to tell y'all, I appreciate a fine woman. You women, you see me looking at you, don't take it personal, okay? No, seriously, my family members, like the women in my family, tend to be very beautiful. So I have an appreciation for that. I want to speak to that too. There's nothing wrong with appreciating a beautiful woman, right? But it's about the respect. It's about the care, though, too. You have to have care. You have to respect. So y'all can feel me on that? Yes, okay. This is my wife. I love this picture because look at James. I love it. Yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome. And this was about maybe 8 months ago before we moved. And I want to say something else. We were living in what I call hood-like conditions back then. Okay, so it was like a lot of police activity, drug infestation. It was madness. And my objective was to get my family out of that scenario. And thankfully, with the help of people around the world, we were able to get to Utah. And we're living in a beautiful home, safe environment. And I was able to come to this conference. This is the first time I've done a presentation where I didn't leave my home with fear and anxiety about my family's safety. Okay? And that means a lot to me, because it was very difficult. But we got out of there, and we are living in a much better situation now. But this is also about family dynamics, male-female relationships. And this was just about 2 weeks. No, this is my wife's birthday, because she got on her hip-hop jumpsuit thing. Okay? She got that for her birthday. Okay? And then this was, these are my children. And this was just about a week and a half ago, our daughter's birthday party. We combined the birthdays. We have 3 birthdays in February, so we combined them to save money. Okay? And at our birthdays, everyone gets gifts because we don't want anyone to feel left out. So that's why I'm hoping that some of y'all will buy some of my products so I can go back home and buy some groceries. Okay? All right. Now, relationships. It's not just fathers and sons and mothers and daughters and father and mother and uncles and aunts and all that stuff. Relationships is also about how we perceive men and women in their interactions, and particularly when it comes to issues such as pregnancy. Okay? And one of the things I can say is I'm proud that I was there for all of the births, and I was there, I was doing my best. Pregnancy, 9 months of pregnancy, did it 5 times, okay? And this was the birth of our second son, Avi, and this was at a birthing center. We did our first 2 at a birthing center, and then the last 3 we did at home birthing. It was just me and my wife. That was huge. So what better way, and my wife, she was the one that was like, I want a home birth. And I was like, oh, no, we're not going to be doing it. But we researched together, and I developed confidence, and I told myself, who am I to tell my wife how she should have our babies? If anything, I got to figure out how to support. So we studied and we researched, and we gave birth to our last 3 at home. And I look pretty good, given the fact that I've done given birth to. So if any pregnant women in here, if you're going to labor, I got you. Okay. Okay. By the way, Irene, no vaccinations for none of these babies. Okay. And that caused a lot of issues, family and friends, a lot of criticisms, but they've been perfectly healthy. Sons have not been circumcised or genitally mutilated. Okay. I was, and I also had the vaccines, but the idea is you want to do better for the next generation. So I think that's why your presentation is very important, very important. Okay? They've also been raised vegan too, by the way, so they haven't had any like dairy or, yeah, okay. And here's me and my wife. This was back in 2000. And this was the night she came out to hear me perform. I'm a musician too. She came to hear me perform, and after, we had a break in between session, and she came up and we took a picture together. And I want you guys to know something. Doesn't it look like we've been together like for a really long time? But the thing is, we weren't even together yet. You see what I'm saying? So this too is about relationships. My wife, she had put in personal work before we met. I put in personal work before we met. But then once we got together, there was still a whole lot of work that we had to get through. Right? This is what I mean by relationships. Men, you want to really get your stuff together. You get yourself a fine, good woman, and she will help you to mature and grow in ways you would have never imagined. And any of y'all men got a good woman, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? See, my wife is fine too. Okay, all right. And this was our first date. Again, you know what I'm saying? It looked like we've been together for long. The other thing too, and people used to joke, you guys look like each other. You sure you ain't got the same daddy? No, we ain't got the same daddy. Okay? I'm part Filipino, so I had on my Filipino little shirt thing. I still kept it. I still got it in my closet. Okay? 17 years later. And we went to a poetry night, and I played the flute there, and this was in Oakland, California. I met my wife. Again, this is what I'm talking about, relationships. Okay? All right? Now, when we talk about relationships, I think I have 4 things or 5 things I just want us to be clear about, because there are some very important elements to relationships, whether it is male-female relationships or your relationships to your children, your relationship to your mama, to your daddy, relationship to Ivan, whoever it may be, okay? Well, y'all didn't laugh at that. I'm talking about Ivan. He's the event organizer. Okay, let's give him some props real quick too, by the way. Okay? So, I just want to give you guys some quick definitions. Commitment, the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. Okay, that can be dedicated to your job. That's a commitment. Dedicated to your wife. That's a commitment. Dedicated to your husband. That's commitment to your children. That is being dedicated to a cause or activity. Commitment to your own evolution, mentally or otherwise. Okay, talk about consciousness, etc. Okay, so commitment, the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. Care, the provision of what is necessary for the health, welfare, maintenance, and protection of someone or something. These are all elements of relationships. Kindness, the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. How many of us men are we friendly, generous, and considerate of women? I know you are. You already got your good woman, okay? You got your good one. Matter of fact, I was talking to a young man at my table, and we were talking about learning how to just develop friendships with women. Isn't that the foundation of it all? And I told him, you know, sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. We want to make something magnificent happen. Oh, yeah, I got to make this happen. We're going to make this work. But we missed the point. The point is, can I interact with this woman to develop a friendship? And whether or not that evolves into something more, that's not even the point. The point is that there is a skill set associated with communicating with women and being friendly about it, and having care, right? And being kind. Hey, how you doing? You see that? Hey, how you doing? You see the difference? Okay, if y'all didn't catch that, here's the one. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, you see the difference? Okay. It's subtle things, okay? All right. Some of y'all didn't catch that, but it's true. It's true. When I talk to my homeboys, there's a different manner in which I speak. There's a different tone. There's a different language. When I talk to my wife, hey, baby, how you doing? You looking good today. You looking good today, bro. Okay, you see? Okay. Another dynamic is respect, the feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. And this is very, very huge for men to develop respect for women, but also for women to develop. But I want to deal with the respect for women simply because a lot of my presentation, we're going to be dealing with sexist ideology, okay? So to have respect, the feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. I have profound respect for my wife. I have a lot of respect for women in general because of my mama and because of my grandmama. My mom raised us by herself for the most part, 6 children. You got to respect that. Was she the best mama ever in the history? Maybe not. But for her to do what she did under her circumstances, you got to have respect. The other thing, too, is to have respect because of their abilities, their qualities or achievement. And one of the things I try to talk to a lot of young males about this, because a lot of young males say things like, I don't have to respect a woman. She has to earn my respect. Okay, well, who are you, first of all? Why are you so almighty that someone has to earn you? And what does that mean? Well, what I think about is that if you think about what women bring onto the planet, and when we talk about the perpetuation of life, that alone should be a reason to have respect for women. In other words, what I'm talking about is that if a woman can carry a baby in her womb for 9 months, you should afford respect for women just on that fact alone. And I'm not saying that simply because it sounds good. I'm saying that because it makes sense. None of y'all would be here. Last I checked, y'all came out of a woman. Any of y'all come out of a man? Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay. Well, yes. Yes, but anybody can get to that first step, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. We're talking about the ability to maturate life and to sustain and grow that life and then birth that life. You see? Okay. And then the last one I just want to give reference to is love, an intense feeling of deep affection. These are all elements of relationships, positive relationships between men and women. But then you can also extend this to your children. You can extend this to people that you care about, et cetera, et cetera. Now I want to get into the media aspect in terms of media effects on relationships, because a lot of these dynamics. Hold on. Where's my little? I forgot to put my. I just wrote this, by the way, right before I came up here. Let me just. Okay. A lot of what the media programming does, and we've talked a lot, you heard people talk about mind control, is to compromise people's sense of commitment, care, kindness, and respect and love. And I'm going to give you some examples of that in this presentation. Now, real quickly, media is the main means of mass communication, broadcasting, publishing, and the internet regarding collectivity. Effect is a change that is a result or consequence of an action or other cause. You put those two things together, media effects, a change that is a result or consequence of mass communication. So any degree of mass communication that can change how you think, change how you speak, change how you feel about people, how you feel about yourself, change how you behave, that is a media effect. Make sense? Okay, we're good. Okay, good. And then, of course, we have to define relationship, the way in which two or more people are connected. This is a relationship, all of this. All these speakers, relationships. Those two women up there talking and laughing, relationship. That's what my teacher used to do too back in the day when we were in class. You two talking? Okay, okay, so relationship, the way in which two or more people are connected. So you put those together, media effects on relationships, a change in the way in which two or more people are connected that is a result or consequence of mass communication. And ladies and gentlemen, mass media has done a fairly good job at disrupting how people relate to each other. Want to get some examples? Okay. We have books, we have magazines, we have news media, we have television shows, commercials, billboards, cartoons, movies, and music, more specifically music lyrics. Mark Devlin, we can also throw in there music videos. Okay? So what I'd like to do is give some examples of each of these, and then I'll be closing out the presentation. Love the hair too, by the way. Okay? All right. Let me say this, if there's any children in the room, some of these images I would say are inappropriate for children, so this would be the time to how are you, young man? Look at him. How old are you? Oh, 15. A lot of hair too, by the way. 15. Well, you know, you go on the internet, you go on the chat snap and all the YouTube and all that. And what is it, the Twitter? The Twitter? What is that, the Twitter, yeah, Twitter. Well, if you've been on the internet, I think it's safe to say that you will be okay with seeing some of these images, okay? But I want to give that disclaimer, okay, before we get into this. So I want to give an example of a book. This is a book titled 50 Shades of Grey. How many people have heard of the book or the movie, by the way? Okay, many people have heard of it. 50 Shades of Grey is a 2011 erotic romance novel by British author E.L. James. It is the first, and I love doing like this, installment in the 50 Shades trilogy that traces the deepening relationship. You see that word? The deepening relationship between a college graduate, Anastasia Steele, and a young business magnate, Christian Grey. It is notable for its explicitly erotic scenes featuring elements of sexual practices involving bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, and sadism, masochism. But remember, we're talking about, what was this? Deepening relationships. That's my WTF face. Does that even make sense? So we're talking about bondage and discipline to deepen relationships, dominance and submission to deepening relationships, and sadism and masochism to deepen relationships. Does this have anything to do with commitment, care, kindness, respect, and love? No. Now, I'm going to say this. Sex is wonderful. At least I would agree with that. I don't know if you guys agree with that. And I have 5 babies to prove it. My wife and I, we've had sexual intercourse 5 times. That's not the issue. The issue is the relationship, the connection, the intimacy, the manner in which men interact with women sexually, and the manner in which women interact with men sexually, and whether or not it is aligned with commitment, care, kindness, respect, and love. This was turned into a movie, by the way, and there are people who went to the movie, and I'm sure, this is what I mean by the effects and the mind control apparatus. I'm sure that there's couples that went, and they weren't into like the bondage and the discipline and the dominance and submission. I mean, what does that got to do with relationship? Like a positive, loving relationship. And they weren't into that, but they went to the movie. Or maybe let's say the man went to the movie with his homeboys. Yeah, man, let's go check that out, man. He comes home and, hey, baby, you want to get together and get that fire burning tonight? Well, sure, baby. Okay. Well, you want to try some of this dominant, submission, sadism, masochism, bondage, discipline stuff? Whoa, what are you talking about? Now, it sounds funny, but I'm sure that there are some women, and men for that matter, who complied and went along with it against what they knew was respectful and loving and kind and generous. You see my point? Okay, and there are a lot of people, men and women, who kind of go along with things simply because they've been pressured. And the media can function as pressure. It can not only function as a mind control program, but it can make men and women feel as if they have to do things that's not really in line with commitment, care, kindness, respect, and love. One thing I'm absolutely sure about is the notion of a man harming a woman in any way goes against what it means to be a man. Being a man is about protecting. Ultimately, fundamentally, to protect and to serve. We want the police to do it, but we won't do it for our own women. Okay, so, to harm my wife? Absolutely not. In fact, it goes beyond that because we've never spanked our children either. Okay, I just want to throw that in there. All right. Magazines, we talk about media. I just looked this up like 2 days ago while I was putting this presentation together, okay? This is Cosmopolitan, and it's a very popular magazine, and I pulled it up, and what I noticed was that a lot of the verbiage or the wording is centered around a particular theme. What is it centered around? Yeah, so if you look at it, the top says hot sex skills. I might want to check that out. Hot sex skills, how to get and give supreme pleasure. Cosmopolitan, what is this? Over here it says Cosmos' best quickie position ever. I know about that. No. What is this? How to get and give supreme pleasure. One night strands. Have a fling with a fun new hair color, then rinse away. What are they I don't even know what they're talking about. Anyway. Sexier Skin 2.0. Miracle working lotions and potions. Not just lotions, but potions. Oh my goodness. Score, you guys heard the term, did you score last night? This is all subliminal. Well, for a lot of people, it doesn't register in their conscious mind. Score flat abs with this one move. When the guy you love doesn't take your Me Too story seriously, what is all of this? And this is March 2018. The point that I want to get at is, sex is wonderful, and that's part of how we perpetuate the species. Okay, don't get me wrong. But when it becomes about one-night strands and best quickie positions ever and how to give supreme pleasure and hot sex skills coming from Cosmopolitan, this sounds more like a porno magazine. The verbiage, that's the point I'm getting at. Oh, well, there you go. Obviously, it ain't work for me, okay? Okay? Speaking of porno magazines, and I want to make sure there was a baby here. I think they took her out. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was worried about that. You know what's funny is the language on here is less sexualized than the language on here. Y'all remember Playboy? Some of you men are like, nah, man, I ain't heard nothing about no Playboy. I ain't ever heard of that. I was thinking in the lobby when I was like, might have been 9 or 10. I used to go to my uncle's house, and he had one of them big old TVs, and back in them days, it was a big TV, not like one of them up over there. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They were huge. And back then they had cable boxes. Y'all remember cable boxes? Some of you younger people are like, what is that? Snapchat? What is that? What is that? Periscope? I don't know. No. There's a cable box and then you get the dial and you turn it, click, click, click. You all remember that? Oh, yeah. Okay, so HBO used to have the I guess it was a Playboy channel. I think it was channel 22. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. I remember that. Wow. That's like 32 years ago. That goes to show you how deep the mind control is. Okay, 22. Yeah, click, click, click. And see, it wasn't just 22. You have to get it like in between 22 and 23. On the little dial thing, and then the Playboy thing would come on. And sometimes, see, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes the Playboy would come on, but you couldn't really see it because it would be blurry. But you can still hear it, and you can see every once in a while, you might see a body part. You're like, oh, yeah. I was just thinking about that for some reason while I was, okay, anyway. So I just want to dissect this very quickly. Playboy, entertainment for men. Okay, what kind of men are we talking about? Okay, even how we define what a man is, I think that needs to be revisited. Okay, because in my mind, this is what I teach my sons. Manhood isn't about this. Because this isn't about care. This is not about commitment. It's not about kindness. It's not about respect. And most definitely, it's not about love. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by this. So even how we define manhood or what a man is needs to be redefined. Entertainment for men. And this is someone named Kate Moss, photographed by blah, 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 blah. Playboy is an American men's lifestyle and entertainment magazine. It was founded in Chicago in 1953, so it's been around a long time by Hugh Hefner and his associates and funded in part by a $1,000 loan from Hefner's mother. And I'm sure she regretted that later on in life. Notable for its centerfolds of nude and semi-nude models, playmates, that's what they're called. Playboy played an important role in the sexual revolution. Or should that be sexual devolution? Y'all looking at my cakes? Oh, okay, anyway. Cakes means backsides for some of y'all. If y'all don't know what that is. Okay, anyway, okay. The sexual revolution and remains one of the world's best known brands. But there's something else I want to say too. I just remembered. Men, okay, I think we can all agree, if you're heterosexual, that women's bodies are beautiful. Yes? And nothing right. You know, it's the truth. I mean, and again, like I said, I appreciate a beautiful woman, and it's nature. And matter of fact, my oldest son is 14. And we went to the zoo maybe about 5 months ago, and we were walking, you know, as a family, how many of us? 5, 6, 7 of us. We're walking. And there's these young girls walking by, and he's looking, you know, and it's not like he's looking at their body per se, but he's looking at their face because he's what? He's attracted to them. I didn't say nothing for the first couple of times, but then I said, you know, the young girl walks by, and he looks, you know. I said, oh, son, you were checking out that young girl, weren't you? No, Daddy. Yes, you were. No, son. Don't, because he gets embarrassed. No, son, don't be embarrassed. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with it. And I encourage, there's nothing wrong with that. But the difference is when we get this type of programming, it's not about necessarily appreciating feminine beauty. It's more about the sexualization, over-sexualization, and objectification of women to wherein they become nothing more than a pornographic fantasy to be dominated by men. Yeah, an object. See, I want to make that point, because I encourage my sons, yes, nothing's wrong with that, okay? But you also have to have what? At a certain point, commitment, care, kindness, respect, and love. Playboy. I want to read something, Hugh Hefner. This is a quote from I Am in the Center of the World, and this really speaks to the sexism here and the objectification of women, because this is their logo, okay? Playboy, the rabbit. A lot of people associate the rabbit because it has a tie on. That's the man, he's the playboy, but no, that's not really it. The rabbit is really, well, he's going to explain this right here, what the rabbit is. The rabbit, the bunny, is in America has a sexual meaning, and I chose it because it's a fresh animal, shy, vivacious, jumping, sexy. First it smells you, then it escapes, then it comes back, and you feel like caressing it, playing with it. A girl resembles a bunny. Joyful, joking. Consider the girl we made popular, the playmate of the month. She is never sophisticated. I didn't say it, he said it. Someone said, what? No, I didn't say that. This is what he says. Did I read that wrong? It says it right there. She is never sophisticated, a girl you cannot really have. She is a young, healthy, simple girl. The girl next door, we are not interested in the mysterious, difficult woman. In other words, intelligent, right? strong-willed. We're not interested in a difficult woman, the femme fatale who wears elegant underwear with lace and she is sad and somehow mentally filthy. You see the psychology of this man? The Playboy girl has no lace, no underwear. She is naked, well washed with soap. And water. And she is happy. That's Hugh Hefner. He passed away recently, and people were, oh, he's such a wonderful on Facebook. And I'm like, what are you talking? He's a pervert. That's all. And it's been going on for a long time. This is Playboy, September 1969. There's the bunny thing on her stomach. And look at the shirt. What does the shirt say, by the way? Student power. What are we talking about here? Student power? And see how her hair, this is subliminal stuff, right? See how her hair is kind of, it's kind of groomed in such a way, it kind of looks like a little girl, how little girls behave. See that? Student power. And then look at the little things here. Sex on campus. Well, that's what it's supposed to represent symbolically, right? Okay. It has a very pedophilic undertone to it, right? And this is back in 1969. This is all the different places where Playboy has been either published or has been published, but the ones in pink, thank goodness, they no longer publish. So, Australia, good job, and South Africa, good job, and I think that's Sweden up there, in Norway, I think, good job in Portugal, but all the rest of y'all messing up, okay? Okay. Yes, yeah, and also the areas that aren't highlighted, though, they never publish, so good for them too. And I just want to before we go on to the next level of media, look at the picture, okay? This is some fascinating stuff. Again, the women are dressed as the bunnies, okay? That's all the objectification to call a woman a bunny anyway, right? But that's what, these women are called, Playboy bunnies. And they got to have on the little Playboy outfit, but then also the little bunny ears. This also ties to Easter. I don't know how many of y'all researched into Easter and the sex rite rituals and that kind of stuff. Well, that's all tied up into this. But what this really represents is a couple of things. The devaluation of women's humanity. Don't see them as a human being, see them as an animal. The objectification of women, see them as an object to be dominated. The sexual exploitation of women, and that's precisely what he has done, and many people who are in this industry have done to women. Hugh Hefner also contributed to the proliferation of pornography. He also has promoted sexual promiscuity, okay, lack of commitment. The global promotion of sexism, power and control over women, misogyny, pimp culture. Where I come from, we would just call him a pimp. We wouldn't call him a man or anything. We would just say that he's a pimp. And the other thing, too, I want to say this, when we talk about power and control, look at the image, and who is the person in power here? The man in the suit. He's in the middle. He's center. But there are women, because of the programming, they believe that to dress this way or to become this type of sexual symbol, that it's empowering to them. Is it really? I'm sexually liberated? Really? Turn yourself into a symbolic representation of the pornographic sexual fantasy of men, and you are empowered? I'm posing as a question. Okay? Now, some of y'all in the women, maybe y'all are into this. That's fine. No judgment here. I'm just talking about the media influence, because some of y'all got into it because of the media programming, not out of conscious choice. See? All right. And then, of course, the devaluation of committed relationships. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that in there. Oh, my bad. Anybody know who that is over there on the right? That's Donald Trump. I didn't mean, that was an accident, okay? That's March 1990, by the way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right there. Okay. Right. Very briefly, news media also impacts relationships. And in particular, there's three areas that media tends to focus on, and all of the categories or issues can be placed within these three: race, religion, and sexual orientation. I'm going to get deep into this, but I just want us to be clear that mass media has a huge impact in terms of male-female relationships, how men relate to women, how women relate to men, how fathers relate to sons, mothers relate to daughters, and on and on and on. And a lot of the programming centers around these three issues: race, religion, sexual orientation. Oh, I did it again. Sorry about that, people. Okay, I want to talk about television shows as well, because when I was coming up, TV was huge. We didn't really have the internet. Nowadays, I know it's a little bit different, young man, with the Snapchatting and the Twittering and the, what's that other one? Instagramation and all that stuff. Okay, but back in the day with television. And television shows, I know they stream it now, but I just want to give some examples of some television shows that have impacted. And if I'm bold enough, I'm going to share something with you all that I've only shared with my wife when we talk about television shows. How many of y'all remember Young and the Restless? How many of y'all used to watch that back in the day? Yeah, I used to watch it too. And you know the reason why I watched it, because my girlfriend used to watch it when I was in high school. I was in the 12th grade, I was 16. How much do I want to tell y'all? I don't want to say too much, but anyway, we used to watch the show, and her mama used to watch, and they would record them on the VHS tapes, and they would rewatch them and rewatch them. It's funny because a lot of the stuff that was playing itself out, I found that stuff playing itself out in our relationship. I didn't realize it until like later on I was reflecting. I was like, wait a minute, you know, there's this one guy on here, he's an older guy. I don't see him in the picture, but he's one of the main older guys. He's been on there for, I think, the longest, and a lot of the stuff he was going through, like, why am I kind of going through this stuff when I'm 17 with this? But then later on I thought about it, I was like, you know, we're just playing out the stuff that we saw in Young and the Restless. That song, too, you remember that song with the little piano thing on it? I can't remember right now, but I used to love that song. Okay, the Young and the Restless. Here's another one, Sex and the City, 1998 to 2004. Obviously the title, okay, tell you. A lot of this just has to do with like sexualized, programming. Okay, and again, nothing wrong with sex, but when there's no commitment, when there's no care, when there's no love, when there's no respect, that's when we have to really start to ask questions. Have anyone heard this show, Scandal? And I haven't actually watched, I think I may have watched like 2 episodes of this, but my wife, she used to watch this a lot. And one of the things that she talked about was how there really wasn't a true commitment between the two main characters. And that one of it is her, this woman right here, but then the other one is the president. Okay, so again, the lack of commitment. The Good Wife. Now this show right here, anyone seen The Good Wife? You seen The Good Wife? Okay. It's a good show. It teaches like some very important lessons, but the programming that I found in it that was like negative was the fact that she chose to continue to deal with her cheating husband for political reasons. So in other words, you dismiss character of the man for the political benefit of staying with him. You see how that can be a problem when we talk about establishing positive male-female relationships? Yeah. Yeah, no, he's right. Hold on one second. What did you just say? Yeah, he said that's Hillary Clinton. Y'all remember that with Bill Clinton? Yes. I know which time, too, are we referring to? And then what kind of precedence does that set for young girls and young women to see, okay, this is the president's wife, and he out here having all these extramarital affairs, and that's just what we found out about, but she stays with him. That it's acceptable. That's programming in and of itself. Is it acceptable? I can understand if a man makes a mistake. Oh, that's true too. At least that we know of, Now, did you have another? What's that? Yeah, Chelsea. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, what you had another comment that you want to? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you see what he's saying? Yeah, absolutely. But see, what we're speaking about is character. See, we're speaking about character. A man of true character, he makes a commitment, and the commitment is unwavering. And there's, plenty of fine women on the planet. We know that. But what is your character as a man? What degree of commitment do you have to your girlfriend or to your wife? So this was intriguing because it tells that story and the decisions that she's made. And also, like you were saying, she denied herself of other possible relationships by staying with him. There's also like this programming, oh no goodness, such as Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, wherein it becomes like so far over the top. The women are just behaving like immature, throwing tantrums and fighting each other and throwing tables and that kind of thing too. How it misrepresents what it means to be a woman, to be a mature, intelligent woman. And this is another one, Basketball Wives of LA. And this is a huge one right now called Empire. This is interesting too because a lot of the conflict between these two, it centers around power and control of their quote-unquote empire. It's a music, quote-unquote music empire, okay? Again, this promotes dysfunctional relationships, etc. Now, this one was really popular. Y'all remember this one, Desperate Housewives? And I just want to say this, the title itself is interesting. Because what are the two elements? Desperation and, so the housewives are desperate. Oh yeah, we can see that too. Yeah. Well, I mean, can a housewife not be desperate? Is that possible? Can a house husband not be desperate? Y'all flip it around. We're gonna do that in a little bit too, because oh yeah. Well, can men? Yeah. Oh. All right. This brings us to Married with Children. I want to take a little time to talk about this. Okay. So how many of y'all remember this show again, real quick? Raise your hand. Most of y'all up in here. Some of y'all younger folk, you ain't never heard of it. That's okay. What was your name, too, young man? Aiden? With the A? Okay, Aiden. How old are you again? 15. Yeah, you probably wasn't even born when this show came out. Okay. You used to watch it? How long ago? Mm-hmm. Okay, what did you think about it? Okay, well, hopefully this will help you to think a little bit deeper about it. See, he said, I don't know, it's just something I just was watching. Yeah, that sounds like some of y'all internet young folk these days, You get on the YouTube and you watch the cats and all that stuff. Well, I was actually watching one of those cat videos yesterday, too, by the way. They gave you 10 reasons on how to give affection to your kitten or your cat so the cat understands. And there's different things, and I was actually looking, because we have a cat and a dog. I didn't have a picture in here, Bow Wow Bill. I was going to have the dog, but the dog has some mental issues, and the cat is very private, so I didn't want to take any pictures of the cat. Okay, anyway. I asked her, can I take a picture? She says, no, please, I want my privacy, okay. So Married with Children is an American television sitcom that aired on Fox, originally broadcasted from April 5th, 1987 to June 9th, 1997. It is the longest lasting live action sitcom on Fox and the first to be broadcast in the network's prime time programming slot. The show follows the lives of Al Bundy, that's the guy, that's the father, a once glorious high school football player turned hard luck woman shoe salesman, his obnoxious wife Peggy, okay, that's the lady over here. Okay, that's Peggy, and she's obnoxious, right? Their attractive, promiscuous, and clueless daughter, which is interesting. I'm wondering if I should share this with you all. This is her here. Her name is Kelly, and their girl-crazy, wisecracking son, Bud, and that's Bud over here. Now, Peggy Bundy, in terms of major themes, we're going to talk a little bit more about this a little bit later on. There's always major themes presented in television shows, movies, so forth, and so on. So in other words, that which is repeated over and over again, that's what's repeated over and over again, that's what's repeated over and over again, that is the major theme. So if I get up here and I keep saying relationships for like an hour and 15 minutes, what's the major theme? Relationships. Someone said sex. No, relationships, okay? So some of the major themes when we talk about her character, okay, she's a housewife, she does not cook or clean, she's a complainer, she's insulting, demeaning, she's preoccupied with television, fashion, and her unfulfilled sexual needs. Over and over again, you hear these themes, especially her unfulfilled sexual needs. A lot of times their argument is about her husband not wanting to please her sexually. I don't know what that's all about. Because where I come from, if it needs to go down, it's going to go down. Okay, it's not a problem. But he has a disinterest in her sexually. Okay, that also plays a role in terms of male-female relationships. We can't deny that truth. Some of you men are getting uncomfortable. Okay, no, that's part of it. Don't mean to do that, but it's part of it, okay? And here's Al Bundy. This is the other thing. Can someone tell me what's interesting about how he's sitting, by the way? Is man spread? Okay. Yes. Is that what they call that? Man spread? All right. I'll do that too. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, so man spread. But what else? Clueless? Okay, that's the thing I'm getting at. But here's a remote control because he's always watching TV. But you see his hands? Even that subliminally, it communicates something. I'm not going to say what it communicates, but it communicates something, okay? He's sexist, he's a misogynist, he's insulting to his wife and to his children, he's demeaning to his wife and to his children, he's preoccupied with sports, alcohol, beer more specifically, and his own sexual fantasies. Yes, insulting towards overweight. There ain't nothing wrong with a big woman too, by the way. I ain't going to lie about that. I don't know what y'all be talking about, but where I come from, it ain't nothing wrong. And then here's Bud Bundy. Disrespectful to his parents, especially to his sister, extremely insulting towards his sister. And we don't tolerate that inside our home because we're talking about relationships. We don't the insults and the demeaning each other and calling each other names. We grew up doing that stuff as children. I don't tolerate it inside my home with my own children. We used to call each other, you're black, you're ugly, you're big lipped, you're African booty scratcher. We used to talk to each other, you bitch, you hoe. See, y'all laughing, but how many of us used to talk to our siblings like that? Yes, and they're right there. Again, how many people used to talk to or your siblings talk to you like that? See, a lot of y'all raising your hands. See, you still do that, young man? Oh, come on, baby girl, don't do that to him. Don't do that to him. No, but that's relationship too. So speak to each other with respect. Okay, you guys better. Okay, all right. She's also, this is Bud Bundy. So he's insulting towards his sister. He's obsessed with girls. And the thing is, he's obsessed with girls at a very early age. It's unhealthy. Again, my son is 14. So, look, yeah, son, it's okay to look. But he's obsessed. And his obsession centers around sex at a very extremely early age. In fact, he brings this young woman home. He brings this woman home. This boy brings this woman home. He's also sexually attracted to women at an early age, and we're specifically talking about a woman. He's attracted to women grown women at a very early age. He's also misogynist, and he's preoccupied with sex. Let me see. Am I going to share this with you all? Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. Okay, this will be my jump into the pool moment right here. So this is Kelly Bundy, and she's the daughter in the family. She's sarcastic, rebellious. She's an underachiever. She's ignorant. This is not my wording. This is the wording in terms of the write-ups for the show. And I actually did some research on this. She exemplifies the dumb blonde stereotype. How many of y'all have heard of that, the dumb blonde? Because I've heard of so many people, say that. Yeah, she's a dumb blonde. Yeah, there's a lot of dumb blonde jokes, right? Yes. Yeah. She dates so-called bad boys. She's preoccupied with her social status, and she's also sexually promiscuous. But the sad part is that oftentimes in the actual show, she uses her body as a weapon against men, and oftentimes her mother tells her she did a good job. That's a relationship too. Not only how she uses her body, her relationship and how she sees herself, how she sees her body, objectifying herself for the purposes of controlling or manipulating men, but also the relationship of the mother sanctioning that and saying that somehow that's okay. But the really sad part about this, and when I saw this, this is what really, and I'm going to share it with you in just a moment. Kelly Bundy is actually someone who suffered brain damage as a child in the show. How many of y'all knew that? I was researching and I came, and this kind of like, to me, this is when this emotion came up, and I'm going to share it with y'all in just a moment. But what happens in the show is they have this flashback scene where they're driving in the car, the two parents, and she's in the car. Bud isn't born by then. She's just a little girl. And they're driving along, and they get into a small car accident, and she bumps her head. And prior to bumping her head, she was sitting in the back reading a book, and she was very intelligent. In fact, the parents were like, I'm so worried about her because she's reading, Bud. She's reading, Al. And then she started to talk and sounded very intelligent as a young child. She hits her head, and then all of a sudden, she has so-called brain damage, and she becomes dumb. You know what's sad is that instead of playing on that and showing parents caring for a child that has brain damage, instead the show moves in a direction where and she just becomes the dumb blonde, and therefore, as a consequence, she makes all these bad decisions, and then she becomes sexually promiscuous, and she becomes the sex object in the show. I mean, really think about that, because we're talking about relationships. Now I'm going to share something with you all. I know I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to do it. Okay, so ethnicity-wise, what would you guys say that I am? Cuban? Okay, part Filipino, yes. Yeah, I know, we kind of look like each other. Yeah. There's one brother back here, he looked like one of my, hey, what's happening, man? Yeah, there you go. I used to have hair like that too, man, back in the day, man. I wish I had it today. Anyone want to take, so Filipino, anything else? Caribbean? Okay. Jamaican? No. Okay, so let me just give it to you all real quick. Part African American, obviously. Filipino, Native American, and Cape Verdean. You all know where Cape Verde is at? Cabo Verde? That's on the west coast of Africa in Senegal. Okay. All right. Francisco Pires Andrade. He lived to like 106. I want to get to about 104. Okay, but anyway, so as a young, quote unquote, let's just going to say African American, because that's what most people would assume. That's it. Because of this show, I developed this negative attitude towards blonde women. And blonde girls, let me just say blonde girls, at the time I was a little boy. And part of it was because of her character. And I'm going to say something. At first, when I remember this when I was a child, when I used to see her character and they used to dress her in a certain way, real sexualized, I found it to be very attractive. But the more, because what happened with the show is as the show went on, the programming became, and she became dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. Which is like, kind of goes against like what happens as human beings. Usually you're supposed to get like a little smarter, a little smarter, a little smarter. So you have this young girl who initially, as a young boy, I found to be attractive because, on some levels it was simply because of the sexualization of her. But over time I saw her character degrade more and more and more. And in my mind, somehow, psychologically speaking, it triggered something in me. It's like a subconscious program where I just found women or young girls who have blonde hair to be unattractive. Is that fair? What is it? It's a mind control program. You see my point? So everything has an effect. Now, over the years, I've worked on that, but I still got a way to go. I don't mean there ain't no fine women and blonde women. I'm just saying that my perception is kind of jaded because of this type of programming. Yes? Really? Uh-huh. Any other blondes have that? That's the perception. Yeah, so anyone who didn't hear, this is a blonde woman, and she says that she has that programming too. And she loves herself, but how she perceives blondes. Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. But the other thing, someone calling me? Whose phone is that? Hello? What was I going to say? But it's no different than, like, let's say African-American men believing that African-American men are all violent, and somehow that's, because we get that programming too. I'm not a very violent person. I'm kind of like, somebody all like this guy. Okay, hey girl. Okay, no, someone else has something. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Muy caliente, sí. Yeah, I think it cycles. It cycles. Yeah, but see, again, on one hand, I found it to be attractive because of the sexualization. But then on the other hand, because they were presenting her as the dumb blonde, I found it to be repulsive. You see, that's where it kind of twisted me up psychologically when I was a young boy. Yeah. Mm. Hmm. Yeah, but what you're referring to is relationships. Even how people see blue-eyed people. There's a relationship. Yeah, I'm sorry, wait, real quick, go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And specifically about Bud, he was a young boy, and he had again his sexual interest in grown women, and that played itself out on the screen. Okay, we don't think about it so much when it's young boys for some reason, but when it's young girls, we tend to take more of an eye. We kind of look at it a little bit with more criticism. Yeah. Someone else has something else to say. Mm-hmm. 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 Now, when you say novellas, that's soap operas. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. Okay. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. By the way, our children are homeschooled. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, so that's another dynamic. Okay. I should mention too, our older boys, we may be putting them in the public school, but we think they're prepared now, intellectually, but then also, so someone's saying no. Okay, we haven't decided quite yet. Okay. Okay, commercials. I want to do this real quick because I know I'm running out of time. Carl's Jr. Okay, this is someone named Kate Upton. This is from 2012. There's other commercials too that they did with some other lady. I can't remember. What was her name? Yeah, chili falls on her breast, and okay, whatever. Okay, all right. I'll do this very quickly. Here's a Pepsi. This is intriguing. Pepsi. This is Beyonce. This is Britney Spears, and this is Pink. And the symbolism is that they gain their strength and their power, and they're singing the song, "We Will Rock You." They're in this Colosseum in ancient Rome, and Pepsi gives them the power. So women, if you want to become empowered, you get you some Pepsi, drink it on down. Not only will you automatically look like this, but you will have power, okay? Aiden, right? Yeah, Aiden was like, oh. Oh, me, oh, my. Okay. This is a Doritos commercial. Now, I took a screenshot. Okay, this is an actual video. Okay, but you see, now here, let me give you context. So this guy, the man, he's watching sports, and she is in there. She comes in, and she wants to have some sort of intimacy with him, if y'all know what I mean. I don't understand that, too. Sports or intimacy? What are you going to choose, bro? Sports, intimacy. I'm kind of going this way. Yeah, I mean, it's a, the way I look at it, it's an easy decision. But this guy, he's so enthralled by the sports, he ignores her, and he's eating Doritos while he's watching the sports. And so what she does is she kind of looks and she thinks for a moment, and she goes into the room and she gets these Doritos and gets naked and lays in the bed and just dumps all the Doritos on herself. He comes into the room and he looks in and he sees all the Doritos and he's like, oh, It is sick, isn't it? But see, here's the point. We don't think of it as, many of us don't think of it as being sick. Because we live in a global sexist culture. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Because if you flip it around, now I know some of you men are like, no. Just some of y'all, not all y'all, okay? But I want y'all to hear the difference in response. When we did this one, what did you say? it was sick. But when we see this, it's hilarious. No, it is sick, but you see the psychology there. Man, come on, man, get up off of the thing. But the thing is, so this guy, I think he had a YouTube page, and he does these where he flips them around. I think this is very important because it kind of forces you to kind of look at your own psychology. You see? Okay, women, quick experiment for you all. This is a Chevy commercial. Which one of these men is sexier to you? Okay? This one? No, she already said no, but I ain't showed the other one yet, okay? Or this one? Which one? Anyone want to answer? Some man said I like the trees. Well, that's good. Okay. So the commercial, the way that it goes is they ask these women, it's supposed to be like a focus group, and they ask the women, and unequivocally, overwhelmingly, the women say that this man is sexier. But why? Because he has a red truck. But if you look, it's the same man. So you see the manipulation there? So even how women are kind of taught and informed to perceive men, it's more, the key word is superficial. It's about his car, not his character. Okay, I'm gonna forget that word, because later on when I forget it, I want someone to say, yeah, superficial, because I'll keep forgetting that word. But it's superficial. A lot of the programming is simply to look on surface level. It's not about character. It's not about the quality of his character, the quality of her character. It's about, I don't know. What's it about? Check this one out. Yeah, it is materialism. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. So what was your name again? Lori. So Lori made a very important point. The truck is perceived to be more masculine, whereas the smaller car is perceived to be feminine. But to me, if this was a van, I would want the van. Why would I want the van over a truck? Because I got children. You see the difference in psychology there? Okay, this is an interesting one. Old Spice commercial. You see this guy right here? This is from 2004. He's in a club. He has his Old Spice, and there's a woman back here reaching out to him. With that line, Old Spice kicks off its newest and perhaps strangest marketing campaign, starring a half-man, half-robot character simply dubbed the Mandroid. In the first commercial, the Mandroid topples over and nearly crushes a woman lying on the beach. In another video, the Mandroid meets a woman on the dance floor, but his face inconveniently falls off. Because he's like an android robot. His face falls off, and it falls off completely. But it doesn't matter because the Mandroid uses Old Spice products. He smells so good that a woman is willing to overlook minor details like the fact she's talking to a hybrid creature whose face just fell off in front of her. That was written too by Seth Feigerman in 2004. But what was that word again that I had said just a while ago? Superficial. See the superficial programming? It don't matter. He's not even a man, but he smells good. Okay? There's also the devaluation of manhood and masculinity too in this too, right? Okay, how much time I got too, by the way? Okay, cool. I think I can get through most of this. I think we'll probably have to skip the music part, but that's okay. Billboards and advertisements also impact relationships and also how men see men. What does that say too, by the way? Real men wear gowns. Really? Now, if they said, I'll explain it. So maybe some men may wear gowns, but real men, what are we getting at here? Okay. But the thing is that the advertisement or what it's really speaking to is get the test you need for the people you love. Learn more at ahrq.gov. So this is like health, insurance or what have you. Men, come get checked out. Because this is what, how men sometimes we don't want to do that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to go get checked out now. So on one hand, it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, we want you men to come in and get yourself checked out or what have you. But why is it that we say real men wear gowns? Wouldn't we say something like real men should go to the hospital to get checked out, and while they're at the hospital to get checked out, they can wear hospital gowns? Okay, maybe that's a little too long. Okay. But again, it influences how men see men, how women see men, so forth and so on. We're talking about relationships. This is an interesting one. Y'all see the programming here? Because this gets to the superficiality too, by the way. Okay, so you have a man here who kind of looks like me in terms of, okay, up in here, all right? And he has something he's obviously offering, and who is he offering this to? He has something in his hand. Who is he offering it to? A woman. The woman who's viewing it. In some cases, maybe a man, okay, if they're, okay, but in this case, it's a woman, and she opens it up, and what is it? It's a ring, and look how his body changes now. You see that? Okay. Isn't that interesting? I mean, if that worked for me, I would get a whole bunch of rings and just be walking around like this, Hey, baby, he's talking to my wife. Hey, look, I got some rings, okay? Here's another one. Dang. So we're speaking to what? Superficiality, but even deeper still, you give the woman, her leg was tied up. You open up the ring, and part of the Red Sea. Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting? It's disturbing too. Okay? So that's all it takes. It's not about character of the man, it's not about commitment, it's not about love or any of those things. It's about the superficiality. Now, if you want to get your woman a ring, fine. But don't think that somehow because you get her a ring that automatically you're entitled to something that you see what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. Portuguese. My grandmother spoke Portuguese too, by the way, because that's what they speak over there in Cabo Verde. The translation is that if the man who invented, what is this thing called? The drinking fountain, if he drunk Skol beer, he would have made it like this. Isn't that wild? You got the objectification of the woman to sell the alcohol, the sexualization of the woman to sell the alcohol. But this is like you have to be a perverted man to even want to see a woman bending over like. And again, there's nothing wrong with appreciating a woman's body. I already told you all that. But when you sneaking behind the thing and you looking all like this and just look at all that good stuff. Okay, that's something different. Y'all see my point? Okay. This is an old ad for 1950. Show her it's a man's world. This is ties. They're selling ties. And look at the woman. She's on her knees bringing her some. Now, my wife, she cooks and she brings me food, and I appreciate that. I'm a dock worker. I work at a dock. Long, hard hours and come home tired. And it's difficult, but I got to do what I got to do to feed the family. Right? But my wife, she ain't got to get on her knees and be sitting up here, and I'm laying in the bed with a tie on like, come bring me some food, and you get down there, and I'm up here. No, I'm not. It's ridiculous. And it says, for men only, brand new man-talking power pack patterns that tell her it's a man's world. And yet, men come from women. I don't understand it. Okay. Y'all's expression. Keep looking. Keep looking. I want to see y'all's expression. It's funny, but is it really funny? Okay, so you got the roles reversed, and down here it says it's a woman's world. For women only, ties. Brand new woman talking power pack patterns that tell him it's a woman's world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And see, he's happy, but she's looking down like, look, I'm in control, I got power. Isn't that interesting? Yeah? Oh, I know. Okay. What is that, silk? Yes? Yeah, her look is of disdain. Yeah. Is more of pleasure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's an ad from, and I'm almost done too. This is from Coca-Cola. It's delicious, it's refreshing. Drink Coca-Cola. You have the woman in the red dress. She has the hair nice and she's drinking and sipping from a glass of, and got the cocaine, the Coca-Cola in it. And what does this say? Cures headache, relieves exhaustion. What are we talking about here? No, I want y'all to think about this. Because see, even what she has on for this time period, this would have been considered to be a little bit revealing. Have you heard that before, bro? I know I've heard that before. A lot of you men have heard that before. Don't lie. What we're talking about is that in some cases, when the man wants to engage in some sort of intimacy or sexual intercourse or what have you, one of the main things that, we hear sometimes, is, I got a headache. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Did you men know that all you got to do is get some Coca-Cola? Well, I tried it. Yeah, it doesn't work. I tried it. I got it. I poured it all on my chest, all that. It didn't work. So you got to get the cherry cola. If you get the cherry cola, it works. Now, I want you guys to, what was that? Yes. Now, you guys want to take a guess as to when this advertisement was issued? 1929? Huh? 1910? Let's take a look. The programming has been around for a long time, influencing male-female relationships. Cartoons, very quickly, The Family Guy, South Park, The Simpsons. And I want to say this, oftentimes the manner in which the male figure is promoted, the father, is as if he is a dunce. He's dumb. He's into the alcohol and watching TV all the time. That's a major theme that's presented over and over again. Yeah, no self-control, so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. Movies, really quickly, The Color Purple, no positive relationships expressed amongst men and women in that film. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I actually watched this the other day. And the thing is that they're both assassins, and they're married, but they don't know that they're assassins. Okay, so the deception part, the lack of truthfulness and honesty within the context of a relationship, and they have all these other issues that come up because of that fact. You better know who you're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Lars and the Real Girl, this speaks to this whole phenomenon that is increasing with whatchamacallit thing, robots things, okay? All right. I'm almost out of time. American Beauty, 1999, and this, what I really wanted to get to, not only was there a dysfunctional relationship between the main character and his wife and his daughter, but also he had these fantasies about young girls, sexual fantasies, real inappropriate and disgusting, okay? Yeah, Kevin Spacey, by the way. Yeah, he has a problem. There's another one, Indecent Proposal. This speaks to the issue of choosing money over commitment to your partner, okay? I watched this the other day, me and my wife, and it was very disturbing. The War of the Roses, 1989. I don't have to get all into it, but it speaks to the issue of dysfunctionality in relationships that is not resolved and how it continues to perpetuate and gets worse and worse and worse. And at the end, I'm not going to tell you the end, but tragedy happens for the both of them. And then, of course, music lyrics. I know I'm out of time. 2 minutes? Okay. My documentary, okay, I have it for sale up front. I want to encourage at least 10 people to pick it up because I got to pick up some groceries when I get home for the babies, okay? One of the things that I've done is I've looked at gangster rap because that has had a huge impact not only on the African-American community, but a lot of people in terms of male-female relationships. How we are to see women, how men are to behave, how we are to operate, how we are to treat women, so forth and so on. This is me. Back in the day, I'm 16, maybe 17 years old, and this particular genre of music, gangster rap, had a huge impact on me growing up. In fact, it wasn't until after I began to listen to gangster rap that I began to change my language, and that's when I started calling women bitches and hoes. If you don't have your language right in the first place, it's going to be very difficult to get the relationship right. Because the language speaks to your mentality, your language speaks to your emotional outlook, and the behaviors that you engage in will be reflective of that level of dysfunctionality. So you've got to be very careful about that. Critical, expressing, or involving an analysis of the merits and faults of a work of literature, music, or art. Analysis is a detailed examination of the elements or structure of something, typically as a basis for discussion or interpretation. Therefore, a critical analysis is a detailed examination of the merits and faults of the elements or structure of something. And what I did in the documentary, I looked at this group, NWA. Anyone know what that stands for? Niggas with attitudes, okay? And what I did was I repeatedly listened to NWA's complete discography. I wrote down the common words and phrases that were used in NWA's lyrics. I wrote down how often each common word and phrase was used. I identified the major themes present in NWA's lyrics. The major themes are basically what's being repeated over and over again. Remember we said that earlier? I compiled a list of common words, phrases, and major themes for each NW album. Went through all 4 albums. Very tedious task. I calculated the per-minute average at which each common word, phrase, or major theme appears in each NWA album, and then I compiled a list of common words, phrases, and major themes that appear in NWA's complete discography. That was the foundation of the documentary. We get into a whole lot of other topics, though, too. And then the last thing I did was I calculated the per-minute average at which each common word, phrase, or major theme appears in NWA's complete discography. And I had to use a whole lot of calculations. They have 4 albums, NWA and the Posse, Straight Outta Compton, 100 Miles and Running, Niggas for Life. NWA's first album, NWA and the Posse, came out in 1987. There were 13 references to gun, 19 references to cars, 21 references to money, 34 references to drugs, 59 references to alcohol, 66 negative references to the female body. That's on one album. 14 instances of disrespect towards other rappers, 16 instances of NWA members committing violence against African-American men, 61 instances of disrespect towards men, 87 instances of self-aggrandizement. Sorry, bro. Self-aggrandizement, we won't even get into this, I'll skip over that. There were also 177 instances of disrespect towards women, including calling women derogatory names, physical violence against women, sexual abuse of women, sexism against women, etc. We can skip over this. This is some of the lyrics in terms of the promotion of calling women bitches. Okay? Now, the title bitch doesn't apply to all women, but all women have a little bitch in them. It's like a disease that plagues their character, taking the women of America. I used to listen to that over and over and over again. Akonundrum, who's one of the interview guests, she talks about this word bitch and how it impacted her and her self-esteem growing up, as does Nubia I in the documentary. Straight Outta Compton was her second album. We'll skip over that for now. One of the patterns that began to emerge as I engaged in the critical analysis was an uptrend of lyrics that were disrespectful towards women, sexually explicit, and or physically violent towards African Americans. Again, we're talking about relationships, how we relate to each other, and in particular in the African American community, but then also how other groups of people perceive African American men based upon this type of programming. We can skip over that. And on their first album, they committed 1 murder. In their second album, they committed 6. Their third, they committed 3. On their fourth, they committed 21. And if you look at the per-minute averages, murder about once every 50 minutes, it went to murder about once every 10 minutes, and then it went to murder about once every 8 minutes, and then it went to murder about once every 2.5 minutes. Yes. Mm-hmm. So if you can imagine a young impressionable child listening to this over and over again and getting that type of programming, how does that translate in terms of how they relate to other people? Now, if you combine all, and I'm almost done, brother, just give me like 1 minute. If you combine all the statistical analysis for all the 4 albums, this is what you come up with. The promotion of sexual promiscuity, 86 times. Endorsement of alcohol consumption, 86 times. References to drugs, 87 times. NWA members committing violence against African-American men, 88 times. Disrespect of other rappers, 91 times. References to guns, 93 times. The disrespect of men, 193 times. Self-aggrandizement, 345 times. And what's there at the top of the list? The disrespect of women. How many times? 553 times. In fact, if you listen to the NW's album, you would hear the disrespect of women once every 20 seconds, if you listen to all 4 albums. Think about that, once every 20 seconds. And that's a documentary. I have copies up front. I want to encourage you to pick one up. Luke Ellington talks about the impact of NWA's music on young boys. Wolfgang talks about the positive aspects of NWA's lyrics. Alonzo Williams talks about the history of West Coast hip-hop. Gnu talks about growing up in Compton, California. Sadiqa Bakari talks about the 5 elements of hip-hop. Saladin Assad talks about the death of Tupac Shakur and the beef, the East Coast-West Coast beef. We also get into male-female relationships, manhood, womanhood, pregnancy, fatherhood, so forth and so on. And that's Mecca Islam. My wife, Aida, she talks about growing up without a father and how that impacted her self-esteem. And Sonia Barrett. Yeah. Sonia is the best. She is really the best. Thank you so much. And she participated, and she talks about a whole lot of issues. She's one of the most wisest people I've ever met. But she also talks about domestic violence, which is an important thing to speak about when we talk about relationships, right? And then Kedia Wadu's talked about blaxploitation films, a lot of programming there in terms of dysfunctional relationships. The documentary can be found at beyondgangsterblackface.com, but I also have copies up front. And we've already talked about this. We've gone through books, magazine, news, media, television shows, commercials, billboards, cartoons, movies, and music. And I just want people to repeat after me as we close out. This is my closing. The truth you will find. The truth you will find. It starts in the mind. It grows with time. The manifesting of reality divine. All right, thank you all so much. And thank you, Isaac. Thanks, bro.